This week, we report back from our excursion to Sydney to see Hideo Kojima in conversation with Dr. George Miller. We also talk Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 demo, a bit more Mario Kart World, and of course, we break down the Donkey Kong Bananza Direct that aired last night. All that and heaps more on today's Filthy Casual.
Video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games hosted by two very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Tommy Daslow, and joining me, as per usual,
it's Ben Vanel here. We are currently quarantined because, little T Daslow, he's fallen ill. You could probably hear it in the way he struggled to get that opening out. And did I offer to do it? No.
We did the ad just before this and my voice broke halfway through. I texted you to say, I think I'm losing my voice. Like I'm a bit sick at the moment. I hadn't really talked this morning yet other than to order a coffee. And I went, well, that doesn't sound right or feel particularly good. So let's see how we go with an hour plus of podcasting.
Yeah. You got to get those golden tonsils lubricated with a nice coffee, bit of water.
That's it.
But
That's it.
Yeah, we'll push through. We never take a day off here. Sometimes we record from home, but hey.
Please don't message me, by the way, to say that coffee is worse for your for your sinuses and your vocal cords and everything. I'm well aware. Am I prepared to make the sacrifice of going without? No, I'm not. Okay.
No.
So I'm aware that this is at least like 10% self-inflicted.
Sure. But also, and I do that. Like I'm 100% the same. Back when I used to have dairy milk in coffee, people would be like, "Dairy is terrible for a cold. It's going to make you. There's going to be more mucus. You're going to be more sick." And I was like. But the caffeine bit is what helps me get out of bed. So, you know,
but I'm on soy, I guess, at least if that stops you. If you're drafting the message right now and you hear that detail, if that's going to stop. But no, I mean, it's funny though, because you kind of go like, well, I'm sick anyway. I'm fatigued from whatever I've got. So it's not like the caffeine is going to like wake me up. And also I'm committing to a day of just being in bed and doing nothing. So like I go on autopilot. I still go and get the coffee, but I don't know if you've had a run where you've been sick enough that you go like 3 or 4 days of being sick without getting a coffee. And you get to the end of that and you go like, I'm free. I've broken free. I don't have the urge anymore. I could like just live a whole new life now where I have no coffee. Because when you're trying to do like any kind of like weight loss or just like general overall like fitness or whatever, the first thing is like at those F45 challenges, it was always like you're cutting out coffee for like 8 weeks, and I always think like when I'm that sick, I'm like, this could be the beginning of a whole new life for me. But then I log on and go, or if I have one now, it's going to actually fucking hit me the way that it's supposed to.
Oh, yes. Yeah, like a virgin touched for the very first time.
And that's why I can never try heroin, not even why I get it, man. People get clean and then they're like, in Anthony Kiedis' book, that's like the constant cycle that he's on is like, well, now, I mean, I've been clean for a year. It's going to feel fucking, it's not just like I'm taking it to make myself feel normal. I'm going to get that. It's going to feel like how it's meant to, how it used to.
Oh, fuck. Well, I mean, speaking of, wellness, I'm on a bit of a wellness kick at the moment. I wanted to mention this because if you don't mention it, I mean, it's good to do, but kind of pointless in the whole scheme of things. I'm doing the push-up challenge, which is for charity. It is not just for health, although I am feeling much healthier, I must say.
Yeah, great. Online kind of memes and pranks and stuff really took the sting out of the word challenge, didn't they? Like, it sounds like, planking or like the ice bucket challenge or like neck nominate. I was like, I just kind of like rolling my eyes internally. I'm like, it's a challenge is still a challenge.
It's hard. It's hard to do. I mean, hey, you could plank for this as well. I think literally they do suggest like, if you're not able to do push-ups for, whatever reason, personal health reasons, mobility. You can do other things. You can do squats instead. You can do steps there. There's other alternatives, but I'm doing the push-up challenge, the actual one. And yeah, it's supporting several charities. So you like choose one of, I think, 3 when you sign up to do it. I think the push-up challenge overall, Push for Better, is a charity. But they're all related to mental health in Australia.
Great.
And so I selected Lifeline as my chosen charity, which does a lot of good work. I've known people close to me, close to us that have used Lifeline and found it to be extremely helpful in like really urgent times. So that's my charity of choice. I have to do 3,214 push-ups within less than a month. It's like the 9th of June to the 26th or something like that. I'm on track. I think I've missed one day, which you can make up on Sundays. That's the day of rest.
Okay.
As the Lord intended.
So what's that average out to roughly per day that you gotta log?
Between 100 and 200. So
okay, that's a lot of push-ups.
Yeah, man. It really is.
Fucking push-ups.
It's a lot, and like if you do what I've been doing, which is wait until about 5 p.m. to be like, oh shit, I got to do those push-ups.
That was me with my doing the online workouts in lockdown because it was just like a video link. So you could kind of just do it whenever, which is just, it's such a curse. Like, just before dinner. Oh, it'll be a late dinner tonight. Maybe just after dinner. Well, the food's got to digest first. And then it's like 9 p.m. You're like,
So, yes, for example, I have to do 170 push-ups today.
Oh, my God.
And we are recording this in the morning. I haven't done any yet. I've gotten better at them. I can do 50. I can do like a set of 50 at a time, which, I was doing 20. I was doing 20 to start.
It's one of the it's one of the most like accessible exercise things where pretty quickly you notice yourself getting better at them. Like I used to be. I got to a point where I was like, I felt pretty good at them at the gym, and now I'm like, my like strength and fitness has just gone fucking backwards, but. Yeah, it's satisfying when you like after a week or a couple of weeks of regularly doing them, you're like, hey, this isn't the worst thing in the world anymore.
Yeah, like the first 2 days I was waking up fucking aching like, all over, like down my sides especially, just like muscles you don't engage normally.
Yeah.
And now it's not anywhere near as bad.
And then you started the challenge.
Oh, God.
Is there a connection issue here? Why? I can't hear laughing.
When you get COVID and you lose your sense of taste and smell, I think you lost your sense of taste in humor.
I've got a new strain where you lose your ability to riff.
Oh God, kill me now! Just take me out the back and shoot me.
But where can people find we'll put the link in the show description here for the episode.
Yes.
But if people want to go old school, what's the website to go to?
thepushupchallenge.com.au. I've just shared the link on my Instagram story, which will still be up by the time this episode comes out. If it's not up, just DM me and I'll put it up again, or just, we can chuck it up, like you said, in the description of this episode and on the socials. So, go donate if you can spare some change. Any donation is appreciated, and it's all going for, supporting mental health resources in Australia, which is very important.
I'd quickly like to plug something too that's a personal endeavour, not charity related at all. So perhaps I should have gone first because now I seem like a total asshole.
Just make it your second Make-A-Wish. Then it's kind of still in the same realm.
Well, I actually was toying with having a charity element to it, but I'm going to be at the Stay Soft night markets this Saturday, June the 21st, if you're in Melbourne, at the Collingwood Yards, selling a bunch of my artwork, my T-shirts, my screen prints and all that kind of stuff. If you've ever seen me post about that stuff online and you've wanted to buy some of that but haven't wanted to dick around with postage, then come on down. And there's going to be heaps of other stalls there, food trucks, music, drinks. It's a good vibe that they put on down there. And I was contemplating, I don't know if this is too much of a logistical nightmare, but I was going to have my dog there and have like a little cuddle booth. If you throw $1 in the hat and you get to give him a cuddle, and then I would give all of that money to some form of animal charity.
We'll see if you can sort that out on the day. But yeah, I've been down to those markets. They're fantastic.
Yeah, they're great. It's
about
like
a year ago.
This ain't your grandpappy's market. It's
No.
It's they've got me. I got the map last night of like where all the stalls are, and I'm opposite, like I'm right next to Hope Street, the wine bar. So that's cool. And also
they had like mulled wine going last time I was there. Very nice.
It's a lot of like, there'll be people selling vintage clothes, and there's like people who've like make their own jewelry and all that kind of stuff. And this made me laugh seeing this on the map. There's going to be a Labubu stand there. So if you're someone, seems like a weird thing to sneak in there. You know what I mean? It's like seems kind of like off-brand with the kind of other stuff that's happening there. But I guess that speaks to the popularity of whatever they are. So yeah, if you're collecting your Labubus, then get down there.
That's great. Yeah, I wonder. I guess it's the company or Pop Mart or something.
I don't know if it's like a local reseller or something. I don't know, but just on the map it's just listed as Labubu Melbourne. So yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Labubu, the little character, will be there.
I want a Labubu that's themed. That's like a collab with Yogi Bear's little friend.
Oh
Labubu.
You can pitch that to them, and they'll be captive. They'll be a captive audience for about 7 hours.
There's something so funny to me about just like being in an interaction with someone and just like kind of not knowing who they are or thinking that, like on the Little Dum Dum Club, we used to talk about how we both loved the show Mr. In Between. And the guy who makes that show, he's like a crazy recluse, like great actor, great writer, hasn't really been in anything else like since, there was like this interview with him, and the whole thing of it was how like the narrative leading into the interview is like, I thought he was going to cancel on the day. He's like a very
I remember
guy.
That.
Not much is known about. There's like not that much record of him before he started making these shows. So
these shows about a hitman essentially in the Sydney crime world, which is like, well, this is very mysterious. Where do you get the inspiration?
Yeah, exactly. And we just used to love the idea that somehow we would track him down. And get him on the show. And I forget the guy's real name, but we were laughing about, we interview him, but we just keep referring to him as Mr. In Between. So similarly, I love the idea of just going up to some like just random Labubu reseller and talking to them as if they're like the head of the company, like just pitching them ideas, like asking them like, you know, please.
So, Mr. Labubu,
make another one of these really rare ones. Like my nephew really wants one.
Fuck yeah.
Just getting an audience with someone and being completely ill-informed about what's going on, and and the commitment of like nothing that they say to you can change your mind. Like they're talking and you're just not hearing them. I'm actually just a reseller. I'm not the guy that makes them.
Yeah. So maybe like a Pokemon crossover, or you know, like I think that'd be easy to set up. I've played a few of the games. Maybe I can get in touch with the Pokemon company for you.
Then the next level, just the most insulting ideas as well. Have you ever thought about collaborating with one of the biggest brands on the planet?
So if you can make it down, we also suggest you pitch ideas to the Labubu stand. But head down. It's always a good time down there. Little snacks, little drinks, ceramics and artwork, and pick up some Tommy Dassolo's merch. It's always on good clothing as well. I know people kind of get iffy about that, but it's good stuff, good quality stuff.
Come down, and as you're patting my dog or buying something from me, also show me on your phone donating money to Ben's push-up challenge. Knock them both off in the same outing.
Yeah, that's a good little Saturday afternoon.
An online donation that you can do anywhere, but really make a little excursion of it.
Yeah. All right.
Well, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about. We've been wasting too much time here already. God, where do you want to begin? Should we begin with the most recent thing to have happened? The Donkey Kong Bananza Direct, which aired.
Yeah.
Man, we're back. This was at 11 p.m. Melbourne time. God, it is.
Yes.
It is nice to be watching a presentation like this at a. Well, I mean, I'm sure for some people this would be too late. Yeah. But for me, that's when the evening's just getting started.
That's right. I've just done my push-ups. I'm ready to go.
Probably chuck on a movie when that's done.
Yeah. No, literally, my girlfriend was like, "Well, I'm going to bed now. I'll see you later. I'm like, okay, I've just got to watch this short film about a monkey.
Yeah, Kimmy was like, I'm going to stay up for it. I was like, what are you, 12? Oh, I'm staying up until 11 p.m. Whoop-de fucking do.
But this was, and so I think the first part of the Switch 2 rolling out, a lot of people have kind of ignored this game's existence and been like, there's only one game. There's only one game. The launch window, I think, is generally accepted to be like 6 months. This is coming out
within
a month later.
of the console launching,
And as soon as it dropped, I saw a lot of people, and maybe these were people who were just quietly excited anyway, but a lot of people kind of commenting and posting and being like, I wasn't that interested, or I was iffy on this game. Having seen the Direct, I'm going in day one.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this game looked amazing from just even the little, 3-minute reveal trailer that we got a few months ago. But I had my expectations kind of tempered for this Direct because I was kind of looking at a list of the last few sort of single game Directs that they've had.
Oh, sure.
And I think with the Mario Kart World 1 and the Mario Wonder 1, I went in thinking like, oh, they must have like heaps of extra shit up their sleeves and, if they're doing a full deep dive on the game. And with both of those games, it really was just like, more mechanical kind of like menu stuff. Like they'd revealed Elephant Mario and the Wonder Seeds and they'd revealed the open world of Mario Kart World. So both of those were more about like, weird little online features and, in terms of the overall game, there wasn't that much more to kind of, to showcase. Yeah, but with this, what's crazy is I've played this game and...
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I didn't... Like, all of this stuff that they revealed, none of that was in the version of the game that we played. And...
Yeah, right.
I was talking about this in a Discord with Lev and Dusha, who I went to the hands-on event with, and talking about how, they basically just had this whole other game up their sleeve, / they managed to get us all to play the tutorial and make that feel like it was the actual game. Like, I knew it was like the start of the game, but I didn't walk away from that going, oh, this is only like, this is only like the beginning little kind of introductory thing. So
I remember us walking away from the Breath of the Wild demo being kind of unimpressed.
Right,
kind of like, well, I guess it's open world, but it doesn't run that well, and like it's kind of clunky. Like this is like the opposite scenario.
Yeah. I mean, you could definitely tell that there was more to it, and that was definitely the the beginning of it. But the big thing they've kept up their sleeve, and this, we never talked about it, but this did kind of get leaked. There was like an accidental upload on I think the Nintendo Korea website that had some key art that had this character in it. So, and that was like right after the initial reveal. So people were kind of talking about this a little while ago, like, oh, this looks like Pauline. I think she's in the game. So, this could, anyone who'd seen that when this got revealed was like, oh yeah, it's a bit of a shame because it would have been such a like what the fuck moment otherwise.
Right.
But yeah, in the bit I played and in the reveal trailer, Donkey Kong's companion is this little rock called Odd Rock.
Yeah.
And what he actually is Pauline from Mario Odyssey / the original Donkey Kong / they've had her in a lot of the racing games and stuff now. Her trapped in there as a kid, as a 13-year-old kid. She's like fallen into this pit, and so the conceit is that this mining company have like dug into the ground. You've got to get to the core of the planet where there's something that can grant you a wish. So Pauline's going to wish to go home, and Donkey Kong wants to wish for more bananas.
Yes.
And so she's got her own abilities. She's like a pretty central part of the character. It's funny with like a lot of Nintendo characters, they don't talk in any of the games directly. And so more and more they've got like a little fella, a little guy hanging out with them, who's kind of the one who's sort of doing the like, now we should go here, like Cappy in Mario Odyssey, and Link often has some form of little fairy guy or whatever talking to him.
Yeah. No, this is cool. And it's interesting because like I've just been, playing a fuck ton of Mario Kart World, and anytime I see Pauline, because I kind of had forgotten that she is the original character from Donkey Kong, but I'm just like, oh yeah, that character from Odyssey that like sang the song. Oh, I guess that's because like same kind of with Rosalina. I never really got into the Galaxy games, but that's where she's from, right?
Yeah,
so it's
this
to me in my mind. It was like, oh, it's this newer character that I haven't really gotten to know yet. But yes, you're right. Kind of, it's a real throwback to OG Donkey Kong, and yeah, it's an interesting side character. I mean, I think there's like footage of Diddy Kong, in this direct, sort of like as part of a challenge or as like part of some other. I don't know,
there's two little bits
almost.
that he kind of he pops up in. In like a little bit where you're racing him and Dixie Kong, and then there's like another bit where it seems to be like him and Dixie Kong and Cranky Kong on like a judging panel kind of thing. Like it's Olympics. Cranky Kong and Rambi sort of show up as like a little kind of like how you'd find once you finish Odyssey, like Peach kind of is in all the levels, kind of on a holiday. Kind of seems a bit like that, similar thing. Just another thing pointing to this clearly being the Odyssey team. But yeah, people are... It's funny because this sort of now seems like it's a prequel to the original Donkey Kong games. Slash a prequel to Odyssey. But people online are kind of losing their minds over the fact that in Donkey Kong Country, you find out that Cranky Kong is the original Donkey Kong from that game, and the Donkey Kong that you are playing as is in fact Donkey Kong Jr. Yes. And so this being a prequel, but then Cranky Kong still being in it is... but I mean, I don't know. So Pauline's like 13 in this game, so I don't know. She could be a mayor of... She could be in those... You know, the events of the original DK could be... I don't know. It's confusing. It's all over the shop.
I mean, the answer could be that Donkey Kong in Donkey Kong Bananza is Cranky Kong, and Cranky Kong in Donkey Kong Bananza is like Cranky Kong's granddad. You know, like it could all just be like those are just the names you get when you're a certain age, and it all gets. It's passed
funny,
down
exactly.
Like...
It is funny how Cranky's like their equivalent of like uncle. It's like slang for It's funny how like. In the, like the Legend of Zelda games, they've always had like a kind of all over the place timeline.
Oh, yes.
Different. And there's like a whole book kind of, trying to, cobble that together.
Make sense of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Mario games have just always been like, whatever, Bowser's turned up again and, taken Peach. Whereas now they really are getting into some deep, like, Legend of Zelda, like, alternate reality timeline kind of shit, where I'm sure it just kind of, they've clearly just gone, whatever, we want to use these elements. We don't want to worry about these elements. It's kind of, I mean, this is what, like, even just like them, in Odyssey, I wasn't like a bit disappointed that there wasn't more Donkey Kong themed stuff in New Donk City. I kind of thought like when we'd seen that in trailers and Pauline's in it as the mayor, I was like, oh, Donkey Kong's going to show up in this. That's really cool. Right. And then other than that level where you scale the tower, which was cool, but it was kind
girders.
of I kind of wish there was a little bit more to it, but like this, I love when they tap into their history and just go like, this character that we sort of forgot was the sort of damsel in distress originally, and then we had another one, and we just kind of pivoted it to her, but she's still been out there, and we'll bring her back, and I think it's really cool. Like it's neat, and like so her role in this game is. She rides around on your back. You build up like a special meter that then you can do these transformations where you can do Kong Bonanza and Zebra Bonanza and
oh my god,
Ostrich
that looks so
Bananza.
Cool. I love the big muscly zebra running around on its hind legs. Oh man, this shit looks so cool.
This was 12 hours ago, and I bet there is already some of the most obscene fan art of Zebra Kong just fucking dicking someone down. It's very like very buff and like very like what's the term for it? The really intense like erotic gay like manga, the like really fucking ripped dudes just like pounding each other. It's really that kind of style. It really is. He's really full on looking.
Yeah, but yes, because there's what are they called? Like the ancient ones, or something. The sort of the big old kind of god kings
Yeah.
sort of figures around the islands, or island around the area that you kind of get these powers from. And then the thing that I initially thought you were going to say had been leaked, because I also forgot Pauline had been leaked, was the fact that you can go underground. That all of this, play space is connected in levels.
You're all going,
getting...
and it's a bit of a cheat, because it's like one of the layers is like, oh, it's a beach and you can see the sky, and it's not all like, I mean, it would be such a dull game if it was like a big 3D platformer that was all kind of enclosed spaces and just a different form of tunnel the deeper down you got. So I like that they've just gone like, whatever, let's, like in the trailer, I think there's a bit where they're like, and some parts you might even forget that you're underground. It's like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, no, totally.
I like that they've not worried about any of that and just gone like, whatever, like, it's.
And because what we'd seen a lot of in sort of the reveal trailer was the destructible environment, which I don't know if we'd seen the tunneling, the vertical tunneling, but we'd seen a lot of just punching rock walls, picking up rocks, throwing them, smashing other rocks. And so the fact that, there's a bit of verticality to that, with like a lot of hidden secrets and gems and treasures and shit like that. And then on top of that, and I think this was brand new, was the fact that not all of the environment is just going to break and smash into pieces. There will be bits of like sand from the beach level, for example, where you can you can see sort of the lineage of Tears of the Kingdom to this, where you're using it to build. You can build bridges, you can climb up it, you can build staircases, which adds like, I know it was already pretty interesting with the fact that you can like remake areas of the map, but that aspect of like adding new verticality and the ability to like span bridges and stuff, I just thought that kind of sparked my imagination of like, you're going to be able to do so much cool shit in this game.
Well, the thing that has really impressed me about this from the very first reveal trailer was like, I really enjoyed Donkey Kong 64, because that was in the era of like the rare 3D platformer, being, like the hot ticket game on the Nintendo 64. But, it really, other than like some of its setting, it didn't really feel like it used Donkey Kong to the most that it could have. Like you play as Donkey Kong really for very little of that game. You unlock all these other new Kongs that they had introduced in that game, which was sort of immediately like less interesting. And you've got like a gun, and it just felt like the thing of it, like it could have been anyone in that game. Like it could have easily been Banjo-Kazooie characters with like, some, it just felt like a Banjo-Kazooie game. Whereas this, you're this big guy, you're like ripping parts of the terrain, you're tunneling. It's like, the fact that this is the Odyssey team, it's like, this does feel like maybe it started as Odyssey 2 and they were just more interested in doing this. And like the fact that Pauline is in it, there is like a clear link to like that world that they've built.
Yeah.
But this doesn't feel like, this could just be Yoshi, or this could just be Mario, or whoever running around. It does feel like they've gone, what's great about this character and what's fun to do as this character? And it's like, smash shit, pull chunks out of the ground. I'm forgetting this person's name, so apologies, but I was talking to someone about this after my show in Sydney a month or so ago, and we were talking about this game, and they were saying that it feels like the end of Odyssey. I can't remember if you ever finished Odyssey, but you like, spoilers for a 7-8-year-old game, spoilers for an 8-year-old Mario game. The end of it is you transform into Bowser, and the final bit is you're like running through this area, just like smashing everything down in your path. And it kind of feels like they made that bit and went, what if we made a whole game of just that? Because it's like a really fun end sequence to the game. But this person said that, and I was like, fuck, that's so, I think you're spot on. It feels like that. And maybe it did immediately start development as just like a, one area of like an Odyssey spin-off. And then they realized like that, they would need a lot more power to be able to like have this kind of big sandbox level that's all rendered and all of it is, malleable and destructible. It's like that kind of all being in play sort of is pretty demanding on a console. But yeah, I really love how this feels so distinct from just being a platformer that could have like any of Nintendo's characters in it. It feels so, even though it's him in a new world and everything, it does feel like it is really, it's using the Donkey Kong sort of character and the abilities that he has.
Yeah, and it being so clearly, inspired by or modeled on, like, visually and technically, potentially Odyssey. The fact that it's not just like and I say just, it's not a precision 3D platformer. You know, it's something more than that. It involves this level of creativity and innovation on the player's part, which, is really exciting. And just visually, it's so distinct from Odyssey as well. You know,
it's cool, but it's like it's so interesting because the framework of it, it's so like, it's big sandbox levels. It's, it seems like there's a ton of these banana gem things to find in the same way as Odyssey. It's got these little like challenge room things similar to how Odyssey did, where it wanted to build in little like classic Mario style platforming challenges. So rather than be limited to just what you can do in this sandbox world, they've got these little
distinct sectioned off.
Forget how they function in Odyssey, how you find them. They're little like pipes or whatever, but here they showed some of these and they look these all look awesome. Like I played one of them in the demo that was a pretty straightforward like arena with just like 4 guys that you had to take out. That sort of classic stuff. But then some of them look almost more like a sort of Captain Toad style, like little mini puzzle thing. There was one that they showed that had like a little trail of enemies kind of walking in a line that you had to disrupt the flow of. So you like you destroy a part of the terrain and then they get like caught in this little ravine. They showed a bunch of like side-scrolling kind of HD remake versions of Donkey Kong Country levels, which looked awesome. I was thinking how cool it would be if like the entirety of Donkey Kong Country is remade within this game as little challenge levels. They had one that was like you running up like the girders of the original kind of Donkey Kong looking level. It looks like there's tons of them in there, and like that as a framework is so similar to Odyssey. The amount of these little banana gems that are hidden around the environment in the same way that Odyssey's moons are like, some of them are you just ground pound or they're just kind of like lying around. And then the thing that it's, they still haven't said what team it is making this game, but the thing that, highlights that it's the Odyssey team beyond a shadow of a doubt. Little costumes for the characters, and you access the costumes by going to a little closet that is traveling around with you, which is exactly the same way it functions in Odyssey. This was the moment where I was like, they fucking, and thank God, we love a dress up. Oh, we love a dress up.
Absolutely. And look, open world, you're going around to different areas. They must have spent years with Odyssey being like, is there a way we can like integrate this without it just being like a closet that follows you around? No, that's the best way to do it.
No, it's funny. He throws open the doors.
Yeah.
Well, and in Odyssey, there would be like, there's like one world specific costume in each one that is that you maybe need in order to get into a certain door or whatever. But they're pretty much, apart from there being one instance of them, I think in each world, they're pretty much entirely cosmetic. But in this, again, this game looks off its head. There's like a skill tree. There's like skill points you can build up. It's like a kind of having like RPG progression kind of stuff in a Donkey Kong game, and the different costumes grant you different effects, different boosts. So beyond just being cosmetic, it actually feels like you'll be able to kind of morph your own sort of play style into these costumes and the skill tree and stuff, which is super exciting. Looks like there's so much depth to that.
Yeah. And I think, because the game looks like it, you can kind of approach certain challenges in multiple ways. And again, like yes, Odyssey had the sort of sectioned off challenges, but Breath of the Wild, I guess, was the one they'd been working on initially that had the shrines, which were literally that, like these separate little dungeon areas where they can come up with a physics-based challenge or, whatever they want to do within the scope of that game, and then let you, like the way people solved some of the shrines in Breath of the Wild was like so creative and like left of center thinking. And yeah, I guess with this, it's like, well, if you can fuck around with the environment and approach things in different ways, then we should let you be able to enhance those abilities that you favor and ignore other ones. Like, I think it's a cool addition. Being someone who likes those RPG elements and RPG games overall, I'm totally for it. Maybe people might be it could be a bit much because there's already so many like moves and actions and ways to find things, like doing the ground pound as like sonar to find gems that are like hidden.
Yeah.
There's like, and I guess most of it will be optional, and like if you're a completionist, it will be for you. But I wonder what people have.
I'm sure, given it's Nintendo, there'll be they'll assume that maybe someone playing this is a bit younger, like it might be their first time with any kind of skill upgrading kind of stuff. So I'm sure they'll kind of spell it out. But the little different costumes for both Donkey Kong and Pauline looks super cool. It looks like there's such a fun range there. You can change the color of his fur, which is neat. There's also so the inclusion of Pauline. She's using her little song powers to transform you, and also I think to find hidden stuff. But also you can do 2-player kind of sort of semi co-op. Again, it feels like more for like a younger or not as seasoned player to kind of be able to join in. And in the way that, the second player in Odyssey can control Cappy and just kind of spin him around, but it's very superficial. But this looks like one of the neatest implementations of this they've ever had. The second player can use the Joy-Con as a mouse to kind of aim around the screen and shoot these like vocal effects that look awesome. These like chunky 3D blocks of speech that you can use to sort of destroy the terrain and help out with enemies. And like, it kind of looks like the most... still very like largely hands off, but it looks like the most sort of satisfying and substantial version of that they've had, I think.
I think so. I mean, apart from like being sort of tagging along in some of the 2D platformers where like if you're not as good, you can go in the bubble and you can reappear later on. I think you're right. It's this kind of like riding shotgun in the sidecar kind of mechanic, which I mean, it's I don't know if Lauren will be interested in it. I know Bridget will be really keen to jump on Donkey Kong's back and help fucking shoot some shit down. But
I love the way they've started building this kind of stuff in, like not the it's a great sort of middle ground for, I guess, like having a kid that is maybe not quite ready for the dexterity of like even a 2D platformer where they're playing as Yoshi and they've got the assist mode on. Maybe that even is like a bit much for them, but just being able to be like, you're still in control. There's nothing, like in a 2D platform, if they're not moving on, then you are just like, you're sort of stuck there. So that, you're still very much taking the reins, but it's like a very like introductory and I just love the effect of the like the words as these big kind of blocks kind of shooting off. And I think this is really cool, and I hope they do this with more stuff. You can do this with a second Switch, even if you only own one version of the game. You can play it across 2 Switches, even a Switch 1. You can just stream onto that screen, which is like so cool. And I really hope I'm surprised they haven't announced more of that stuff to stop people from immediately trading in their Switch ones, because I've been meaning to put mine up on eBay, but I kind of think if there's enough stuff where I can play on a second screen with someone, then and not need a second version of the game, then like maybe I'll hold on to it for a bit longer. It's cool.
Yeah. I wonder. Yeah, I do wonder what other kinds of implementations they will have for it. I mean, fucking release some Wii U games, and we can use the Switch one as the like. There's so many. Yeah, there's so many potentials.
I saw a guy going. I saw a classic like rage bait thing of a guy going. Okay, so they've shown that it can work on the Switch One. Why aren't they just releasing it on the Switch One? And people are like, well, it's not. It's like it's streaming it. It's streaming that image to the screen. Yeah. So he's like, yeah, but it would be able to run. It like the Pokemon games. It'd be able to run badly, but it'd get the job done. Why don't they just do it? And it's like, what are you talking about? You're saying you want this to come out on an old console and not run properly? Like, Yeah, I mean, we're talking about this for ages, but it is crazy the amount of stuff. I really did not expect them to show off anything like that. I thought it'd just be like, 8 minutes on the moves, 10 minutes about an assist mode, even little touches like when you uncover a new sinkhole and you kind of dive through. And you kind of plummet and you've got these like little chunks of rock sort of sailing towards you that you got to dodge. They look like pretty small in between moments, but even that looked really fun. You're going into like almost like Star Fox kind of perspective where you're having to like dodge around and punch stuff in midair. It just looks like there's so much attention to detail, and they again for some odd reason they spent a long time detailing a little random mode that's hidden in the menu that's like a kind of hybrid kind of Mario Paint / title screen to Super Mario 64 where you can like carve out a chunk of rock and make your own stuff and paint it up. It looks awesome.
It really does look, and I think this is maybe the shift in people's perception of the game. It's gone from people maybe thinking like, oh well, it's a good second tier game, like if you don't love Donkey Kong, maybe you can skip it. Maybe there'll be a Mario, 3D platformer out later this year. It's gone from that to this is like a top line game from Nintendo. Yeah. This has every single element of it has, like you said, attention to detail. None of it is going to be boring. There's all of this depth to it. I think that is going to be the case, most likely. Yeah. It's going to be like a top tier, triple A. This is one of our best games kind of games. And
it is Odyssey too, right? It's kind of like, I like that they're, that it's a Donkey Kong game and Donkey Kong's a big enough character, but it kind of reminds me a lot of like Mario World 2 on the SNES being Yoshi's Island. Oh, yeah. It was like a different game. It didn't look or play anything really like Super Mario World did other than being also a 2D platformer, but it had that little prefix of, Super Mario
the connective
World 2.
Tissue,
They kind of almost could have done that with this. I'm glad they didn't. Like, it can kind of stand alone on its own feet. Yeah. But yeah, just seeing more and more of this and how dense it is, it is still... It's just so fascinating to think about, like, well, what are they doing with Mario? Because this does look as, like, it is as deep as, like, a classic, all the other 3D Mario platformers. It is so clearly the same team. Like, I wonder if they started working on this immediately. Maybe this has been done for a while and they've just been sitting on it. Like, there was that report a while ago that they were delaying the launch of the Switch 2 to just, like, internally, they were kind of, they were waiting a bit longer than they otherwise would have because they really wanted to make sure that the software had enough time to cook. And certainly, like, it being ready to come out, like, straight after the console coming out maybe speaks to that. So maybe they've been done with this for a while and then in the interim working on the next 3D Mario. I've seen some stuff that maybe they split this team into kind of like 2 parts because it does feel like it's using a lot of like similar framework to Odyssey. So maybe it was fairly easy for them to just go like, let's make that sort of layout of game, but with these mechanics and these characters. Like, it does feel like they've borrowed from it enough that, like, they wouldn't have needed, like, the same, level of pre-production time in that area to figure out, like, well, what's the structure? How are we doing this? Like, there was a lot of that stuff just kind of ready for them to go into. I really want to know what they're doing, what the plan is.
Well, yeah, if the rest of that team started work on the next Mario and did all the pre-production stuff on that, and then once Bonanza was done, shift into full Mario platformer 3D, whatever the next one is. And potentially that is also coming out soon, which...
Well, because I think a lot of people were thinking like, oh, well, perhaps it could just be like, you know, the next one will be Odyssey 2. But then this feels so much like Odyssey 2 that's the other thing is like this now being out makes you go like, well, they're probably not going to put out a Mario game that follows this template now, right?
Yeah,
like if they're so confident in just kind of like reusing this format, then that must mean that they have something completely different ready to go so that they're not stepping on their own toes, at least especially if you want to assume that like maybe that's coming out within the first year of the console, like, so yeah, maybe it is a full open world or more like Bowser's Fury. I don't know, but that's kind of like the big thing that was in the back of my head the whole time I was watching this of like, and also a thing that I've seen people comment on online is like, what if this ends in you getting back to the surface and you are Donkey Kong and you're up the top of that tower with Pauline and then you're like, who's this little Italian cunt coming along? You know what I mean?
Yes, I love that.
The final villain in this is Mario. That would be so awesome.
Yeah, fuck. Oh, God. Well, yeah, we've spoken for... I could go another 15 minutes on this game, but
did not expect there to be that much to say. Oh, there's also a new amiibo coming out, which looks fucking cool.
Yeah. Is there's already, I guess, a bunch of Donkey Kong ones that are all going to have stuff, and then there's this
special one that unlocks Pauline's kind of costume from Odyssey, but it unlocks it early. I think you'll be able to get it in the game anyway.
Oh yeah, cool.
It looks cool. Looks like a cool little figurine of Donkey Kong with Pauline sort of clinging onto his back. But yes, pumped for this game in about a month's time. But I'll tell you something else I'm pumped for that is coming out much sooner. In just a short week, in fact, is Death Stranding 2, Neil Young on the beach. Which you and I flew to Sydney to take in an audience with two of the great men.
Yes.
Hideo Kojima, or Kojama, as one of the Sydney Film Festival people referred to him as in the introduction, chatting with Dr. George Miller.
Yeah, so we flew up basically just for this. You did some episodes of your other podcast, which was a wise use of time. I flew up on the day and went home the following day, but it was worth it.
We had a great time.
Fantastic night. So this was basically an hour in conversation with these two. Obviously translator there as well, and then Hex from Good Game and various, her own streaming and stuff like that was the moderator. And it was all about... It was interesting because knowing that it was a film festival event, I kind of thought it would be more about the influences that Kojima has taken from cinema and the way that George Miller has influenced Hideo Kojima. Yeah. And it was kind of positioned as the opposite, which was interesting. Certainly interesting. But it was kind of funny hearing George Miller be like, this guy, he's so inspirational, the way he, tells stories. It's so innovative and, it's really, really interesting. And then... Hideo Kojima be like, no, but Dr. George Miller, he's the master. He is my god.
I found that so cute, so endearing that multiple times he referred to George Miller as, this is my master. I was like, God, that's awesome. Like, just being on stage with the guy, like, you're up at the same event. Because he talks about how he went to see Mad Max 1 at the cinema when he was a kid and was like, I want to make movies. I'm obsessed with movies now. Didn't end up working out for me to make movies, so I made games instead, but I just tried to make my games like movies. So, the way he tells it. And I'm sure he's got like maybe some sort of version of that for, maybe like a few directors that he could be in front of. I'm sure George Miller's like a very big part of his influence. But the way he tells it is like that's where it all starts for him. And certainly like I think I went up for this prepared for this to be like fairly surface level, and I guess maybe it was like underwritten pretty significantly by the Sydney Film Festival. I did keep thinking that like a version of this that was just like its own thing where they could
Yes.
like stretch out the runtime and just because it did all seem quite regimented. Obviously, Kojima, I don't think, is particularly fluent in English, so he's talking via a translator. And
Yes.
I would assume that like a lot of the question stuff had to kind of be like Hex was kind of reading off a teleprompter. So it didn't seem like there was much room for just a couple of questions off the cuff. But I sort of, when I saw it advertised, I assumed that it was going to be Dr. George kind of interviewing Kojima instead of it being both of them being interviewed. And there were significant chunks where George Miller was kind of taking the reins a little bit more, which sort of makes sense because he's talking to an English-speaking crowd and he speaks English, as his first language, whereas, every time Kojima spoke, he said some great stuff, but it was it was very soundbitey, like it was very like, and we were all remarking afterwards about like, his translator, unbelievable. Like, listening to him and translating at the same time. Like, it wasn't like Kojima would speak for 5 minutes and then the translator would relay all of it. Remembering all of that would be a skill in and of itself. But this guy's listening to him talk and speaking to us at the same time as Kojima is speaking. It was very funny to go to something where one of the main guys that's being billed, the guy that we're all there to see, and of everyone on stage, his mic is down the lowest.
Yes.
Just
which
him not in the mix at all, which kind of, makes sense.
Yeah, I was a little... I think at the start, I was a little bit like, I can hear neither of them, but I think the levels were actually pretty good. It was all sorted pretty quickly, and maybe it was just mentally being like, no, I've got to kind of switch off the guy speaking Japanese, even though he is the guy I'm here for. But yeah,
and the translator I loved, like kind of sitting right behind him on the couch, like a Muppet, like Kermit, just in his ear. And because anytime someone else was talking, you would see him kind of just like on the fly relaying to Kojima what was being said.
Yes.
But yeah, there were some really nice little tidbits in there. There was a story about George Miller going to visit Kojima Productions and this like kind of like long hallway that you walk down, and Kojima saying to George, like, we don't have a name for the hallway yet. Would you give us the honor of naming it? And he never wrote back to him, and so Kojima kind of caned him for that on stage. He was like, no, it's still... And George
still
was
unnamed.
like, have you named it yet? And he's like, no, because you never wrote back. Like, I said you get to name the hallway.
Yeah. It's got to be called the Honourable George Miller, Dr. George Miller Hallway.
You and I lost our fucking minds over George Miller telling an anecdote about video games in his own life and his young daughter playing Sonic 3 when it came out. And he goes, and then she was up to the final boss. Is it Dr. Eggman? And that just really tickled us.
Yeah, it really got us. Hearing like renowned Australian cult director, the creator of Mad Max, on stage being like, is it Dr. Eggman?
It's so... Because it wasn't at that time. It was... It's so deep. It's so deeply weeb to be like, actually, his name in the Japanese version was Eggman. So I was just going like... He seems kind of into it, but it's not like he's up there being like, yeah, I'm a gamer. I play everything.
Right,
like he does, like he's clearly got like a respect for what Kojima does and the technology of it and everything. And I mean, especially like, his work has so much like technology in it. So he's clearly into it, but I don't believe he like logged 100 hours in Death Stranding 1, nor is he claiming to have. So I just was like, how is that piece of knowledge come across your desk?
Maybe that like he's talked about it with Kojima, and that's what Kojima's been like. Yeah, Dr. Eggman. Yeah, I love that character.
But he showed a little bit too of George Miller is in the game, and so are the Philippou brothers who directed Bring Her Back. They were in the audience.
And
he kind of talked about like having these people in as just as a version of themselves, these people that aren't actors, and it's kind of like, well, why bother? Like, why are you so intent on scanning these people and having them in? And he basically was like, because I admire these people so much that I think as soon as they're in the game, then I put the pressure on myself of like, it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
If I have these great people that I admire as part of it, then I don't want to betray that. But yeah, it just the kind of the mutual respect of the two of them and like how they view storytelling. It was great. It was it was quite surface at times. Some nice little nuggets in there. There was a bit where Steph was like, "How are we going for time?" And I think everyone in the room was like, "Shut up, just
we're going fine. Keep going.
Just let them cook. Just wait. Fucking wait for someone from the film festival to drag you off stage. Just go.
100%.
Chat. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy's come here from Japan, for this presumably bit of press around Death Stranding 2, but like, you know, this is a big deal, and it is with one of his idols.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the most sort of in-depth stuff they talked about was like that initial idea of Death Stranding being just something that Kojima was cooking up from looking at the world at the time. You know, a lot of people were feeling alienated from society or isolated and lacking in like genuine human connection, which is like a pretty forward-thinking read on society at that time. Like this would have been, you know, mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Like it's pre-pandemic. The pre-production for this would have started, you know, 2015, 2016. And then how that, you know, aligned with COVID in such a bizarre, you know, level of foresight and coincidence.
Yeah.
But also that just being something that is a passionate theme for storytelling. And then, you know, George Miller talking about the same thing. Like, yeah, like the original Mad Max even, it is about how society is becoming more fractured and people are getting alienated and people are getting pushed to the fringes, and how like the heroic tale in all of their work is about bringing people together and connectedness. And yeah, that was like pretty inspiring to hear directly from the both of them. It was it was very cool. And then we went out and got absolutely sloshed to the gills.
Yeah, we had a great crew. We had
did.
It was us, Jen Fricker, Alexi Toliopoulos, Andrew Levins, Angus. Yeah, great little crew. Lev had a gig like a block away, so it was a nice little nice little carry on up the road.
Yeah, a couple of the people from the festival, which was cool to pick their brains a little bit afterwards about, you know, how the whole thing comes together.
Where do they get their ideas?
from Austin and Sundance. No, no, it was
I thought
great.
It was. I really loved where near the end, George Miller. This kind of really stuck with me. I always go to these things, and in the moment, I'm like, oh my god, that's so like interesting, that's so inspiring. And then I just have the worst memory for like moment to moment of stuff like this, where I'm like, I wish they'd put like a transcript, or if you had a ticket, you could get like a limited time, like watch it back to, I don't know.
Sure.
Anyway, I'm sure people would pirate it and put it online and whatever, but like, I don't know. There's certain things where it's like, it would be nice to just be like, oh yeah, what was that thing? But I really liked where he was talking about just in a storytelling sense of like, in this country, you know, we are, you know, fortunate that we live in a place that has like the oldest culture on earth, right? Like
oldest continuous First Nations culture. Yeah,
our indigenous culture that like our, you know, storytelling here goes back further than anywhere. And I was like, I had never really thought of it in that sense.
Yeah. It's literally ingrained into the land, which is kind of beautiful. But yeah, great night, great experience.
Were you thinking at all about if there was going to be a Q&A? Like, what, did you have anything in the chamber?
No, I'm not. And we've talked about this before. 90% of questions in Q&As kind of are like just kind of obvious. Like, you know, where have you taken the story with 2? And, you know, how is it interesting compared to... Or like, Yeah, I made a short film, and it actually shares a lot of the themes with this.
Right, yeah.
What do you think about that?
I was actually in Japan just a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I should have said that. Yeah,
Yeah.
But no, I never want to be that person, and you just don't know if you have the self-awareness enough to be like, is my question going to sound stupid? So, yeah, I don't know.
I always have ones in my head that I think are kind of funny. I'm more concerned with like trying to get the room to laugh and maybe the person to laugh. But the two that I would have debated asking were number one, because they touched on this about how, you know, Death Stranding came out and then 3 months later the pandemic happened, and there was so much stuff in that game that was like super, you know, in hindsight prescient to what we all ended up going through. And that's happened with him before with like the Metal Gear games. He kind of weirdly has had so many instances where he's touched on stuff that seems quite far-fetched and then ends up reality. And so I would have said, so knowing all of that, what kind of, based on the themes and the plots that are in Death Stranding 2, what kind of global disaster can we expect to unfold in 3 months' time? You got to let us know.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
I would have asked if there was any if the Neil Young album factored into his naming of the game at all. And then this is the one that I would have loved to ask. So Dr. George, you have a long relationship with Shane and Dave from the Umbilical Brothers. They've both been featured in a lot of your films. And I'm just curious whether in your friendship with Kojima-san, if you ever sat him down and showed him any of the classic Umbilical Brothers comedy moments.
Yeah, fuck. They should be in Death Stranding 3 for sure.
I just could not stop thinking about that as I was watching this talk. I was like, you know, he knows them well, and there's like they've both got like the Shane, I think it is, in particular, has like a couple of standout moments in his films, right? And so Kojima's a huge fan. You can imagine him being like, "Hey, that guy, who's that guy? Where'd you find him?"
Yeah, he's kind of weird looking.
Yeah, and Dr. George being like, "Oh, I actually know these. I think maybe they studied together, or there's some story about how they know each other so well." But you could imagine him being like, "They're actually comedians. They do this like, they do this pretty crazy like double act that's like kind of, you know." Doesn't really have much any language in it, really. Like, it's kind of vaudevillian. Check this out.
I thought you were going to say, Dr. George, in all your years of knowing them, have you ever watched the Woodstock 99 performance?
Yeah, just turn it into an Umbilical Brothers Q&A dissection.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great, and it got me. I was already so pumped for the game, but boy, it got me fired up.
Oh yeah, because I don't know if we saw, was maybe the George Miller bit, maybe a new bit of footage. I couldn't remember if we'd seen the stuff they revealed about the game there before, but it was in Sydney Town Hall on a fucking massive projector screen. It just looked, the sound was blasting out. It looked and sounded incredible. So definitely a good little taster for, what is it, like next Thursday?
It's a week today.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, very, very excited for it.
Excited
I don't know
to
if you saw,
hoe in.
There was I think it was the Rolling Stone feature on Kojima.
GQ.
And there was this, There was this, there's this quote from one of the people working with him, someone Woodkid, I guess maybe one of the producers or something.
Oh, I think Woodkid's the muso. I think he's got like a lot of songs in the soundtrack.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. He says, there's a key moment where we had a discussion probably halfway through when we were doing the game, where Kojima came in to me and he said, "We've got a problem. We've been testing the game with players and the results are too good." Quote, "They like it too much. That means something is wrong. We have to change something."
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So apparently Kojima explains, like, look, if everyone likes it, it's mainstream. It's conventional. It's already pre-digested for people to like it. And I don't want that. I want people to end up liking things they didn't like when they first encountered it, because that's where you end up really loving something, which is such a perceptive quote. Like, that is...
I mean, it's so true of Death Stranding 1, where you start playing it and you're like, I've got to control each fucking... it's like walking in a game is just the most like, you tilt the stick to move and it's just like, that's easy. That's how you play the game. And for that to become a challenge in and of itself is like... Yeah, you know what? That's so interesting. Again, what I would love to ask him, like, what he thought about Last of Us 2, right? Because that's one of the only things that I would say has taken a risk in terms of like purely like off-putting the player for a great reward, not just like, oh, this is a bit of a pivot in the story, or like the series is sort of like actively doing something that when you first get up to that bit, you're like, fuck this. I'd love to know what his, because that's so that would have been. That's not that long after Death Stranding coming out, but so they would have been being developed in tandem. So it's kind of a weird coincidental thing that they're out, within about a year of each other. But I love that because there was a GQ profile about him too, and like I feel like I've seen little bits and pieces of him, like I guess interviewed before, but he kind of is this guy who. He kind of lives as this sort of internet meme a lot of the time of just this like guy who scans people, kind of
takes funny photos next to celebrities.
Right. Weird guy in the way he tells stories and all this stuff. But like, I like that there's been these profiles of him where he's kind of a bit more like, more of like him just in his own words, talking about like how he sees the world and his work and stuff. Like, he is like, his output is so cartoonish. And obviously you start to think of like the guy that, and I guess because he's like, when he posts on Instagram, it's just like, it's just photos. There's like never any caption. It's like photos or screenshots of music he's listening to. So just kind of hearing his thoughts on like, life and death and his legacy and stuff. Like, it's super interesting. It's cool that he's even like interviewed in things like Rolling Stone and GQ in the way that like film directors and actors are.
It is nice to hear, and it's like, it makes sense because he's such a creative guy. Like, the level of insight he has into even, the consumption of art in general. Like, I want to know, like, what are the movies where first time he watched them, he didn't like them, second time he loved them? Like, what are the examples for him where it's like, how did you learn this? Like, how did you learn this by being someone who, consumes art? But, really, really excited for this game. And I'm also excited for Tony Hawk 3+4.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I've gone in on the demo. It's a pre-order demo.
Okay.
Which, I was gonna play it no matter what. I usually don't love pre-ordering, software especially, but went in. You can play the Foundry level. You can play one other one, which I've forgotten what it is. But
I think Death Stranding might actually have something where you can get it a day or two early.
Oh, like what? Yeah, one of the like the digital deluxe,
out, something like that. Which I'm contemplating doing.
Yeah, but yeah, Tony Hawk 3 and 4 fucking great. Like,
nice.
You only can play as like two different characters, but just the feel of it, the look of it, obviously is awesome. The music in there is fantastic. Pumped. Really,
Tony
really
Hawk
pumped
himself throwing his weight around to get Bam Margera back in it is very
funny.
Oh,
yes. Yeah.
Him being the one to actually make that happen is great.
Yeah. But yeah, pumped for that. And so, happy to get the pre-order and give that demo a little suck.
I've been doing a little bit more Switch 2 stuff. I ended up buying Cyberpunk 2077 on there. A game which I already own, but I kept seeing so much stuff about like, wow, it's pretty crazy that this game runs on a Switch console, and I kind of was like, you know what? It's such a it is such a cool like day one release thing. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get something that kind of, that feels like it's really, showing off what this console can do. I want to see it for myself.
A game that couldn't run on a PS4 and an Xbox.
Right. It's crazy thinking about the redemption arc of that game, going from one of the most, maybe the most bungled launch in history to not only being able to run on something that is comparable to that hardware that it struggled to run on, 5 years ago. Not only getting it to run, but it's a launch game, and the narrative around it now is like, look at how well this runs. Like, it's the thing that's being used to show off what the system can do. But yeah, it really does run. You know, it's obviously it's not the best way to play it. You know, if you have access to it on a high-end PC or the PS5, then you should do that. But it looks so crisp, especially in handheld mode. So in handheld mode, you can do a quality mode, which is 30 frames per second, or you can do a performance mode, which is 40 frames per second. And that 40, it really, it looks so smooth. It does make such a difference. You can't do that mode on a TV unless it's 120 hertz. So it needs to be able to be like like mine's 60, so it's, I don't know, it's like it needs to be like a divisible by, I don't quite know how it works, but anyway, my TV can't do the performance mode, and so honestly, it's like it sort of looks better in handheld mode. Like, it looks crisp on the TV, but it's like it's 30. It's like it slows down a little bit when you're driving around, and when you go into new areas, there's slight hitches here and there, and when you're doing gunfights with like big amounts of people, it slows down a little bit. Nothing too crazily that I've found, especially, playing in handheld, I didn't really notice too many hitches with it. And honestly, like, I am loving the game. I didn't really take to it when I played about, I think 7 hours of it. I checked my old save when it first came out. And I think, like, trying to put away a good amount of time on it before reviewing it for this, I was really wanting it to just be like an open world game, like, very quickly. I was just wanting to fucking drive around and see this world, which got definitely similar to Death Stranding. Going in knowing what to expect from it did make me enjoy the experience a lot more. Because it is kind of crazy how much, like, the first, I would say 7 hours of that game, you're very much on rails. Like, you're very much on rails. Doing the heist and all that kind of stuff. Like, it doesn't really... GTAs generally tend to just kind of let you go pretty quickly. And you kind of still can in this, but you're really being guided around really early on. And in fact, even now I'm like 11 hours in, and a lot of it is like indoors and in corridors and stuff, if you're just following the main story. And my point being that if you're just following the story of it, so far there hasn't really been too many points where it's getting into those situations where I'm noticing that slowdown. Like, it's not... There's, there are pretty few moments where you're like, drive from one end of the map to the next, or here's some huge thing where you're outdoors and in this like changing environments and there's lots of enemies coming at you. When there are a lot of enemies, they tend to be like, inside in a corridor, which is obviously like way less labor intensive on the console. The cool thing is you can do cross save, which I mean, I don't want to have to buy the game twice. It would be cool if there was some kind of like, if you own it on one thing, you get like a, I don't know, discount on the second console to be able to swap your save over. Although, annoyingly, because the only version of this that you can get on the Switch is the like the full edition that's got the DLC
like the Ultimate Edition or whatever.
And that running on here is crazy because that is PS5 only. Like, that they didn't even try and develop that for the PS4. So that's extra impressive. So, I never bought that upgrade for the PS5 version, which means that I can't import my save because it's a different version of the game unless I also upgrade the PS5 version to the Phantom Liberty edition for $44 extra, which at this point I go, I think I've spent plenty on this game at this point.
It
is a little annoying even when I'm just doing stuff still that's on the base game, but I guess... I don't know. It's too tough to be going back and forth and have one of them be gated and one of them not, I guess.
I think, it's... Because, like, the Phantom Liberty stuff is, like, on a different section, but then I'm sure there's stuff that does integrate with the main
I think there is some stuff that they've brought in, and even just, like, it showing up on your... on your, like, map and journal screen and stuff, like... But if you've if you've not played the game, if you want to play it on the go, don't get angry in the fucking comments or online. I'm sure you can find other stuff that disproves this, but I have seen a number of things online saying that the performance of this is better than it on the Steam Deck.
Right.
I have not tested that myself. I'm sure you can find an equal number of people saying that that's not the case. But yeah, as a portable option, it runs great. And also just like having a high-end game like this, the stuff that started to drive me a bit insane with the Steam Deck was like, you always do feel like you're maybe able to get into the settings and tinker with a couple of things and get it running like maybe I can, maybe if I fuck around with the shadow quality or you've got like the same level of options that you have on a PC. I like having it on a console where it's just like, even performance or quality is too much choice for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I kind of like getting it. It's like, yeah, they've done their best and I can opt in or opt out. Whereas like the deck, you can go on a blog and someone will be like, here's the optimum settings. And then there'll be someone else going like, no, actually, if you bump this all the way down or what, I kind of feel like I'm always ducking in and out of the menus. Like, I like just being on a console that's just like, here's the experience. Here's what we've been able to get it running towards. So you can play it if you want. And so I can it's pretty impressive that it's running on there. It's fucking it's cool. It's really cool.
Hell yeah. I can't wait for you to get to the Phantom Liberty stuff, because it, like, story-wise, I mean, maybe because I had played through the original story a couple of times, but it just felt like by the time they got to that, there was a little bit more polish in terms of like the dialogue. The characters feel a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more real. Like
I'm like three-quarters of the way through the first mission of Phantom Liberty. So the the crashed plane and getting the president and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's just maybe just a step up. And I did like the original story, and it is like we were talking about, like the names of the characters are so fun, and like they are that kind of like pulp sci-fi kind of style of like the way they look, the way they speak, and the naming and all of that stuff. And then Phantom Liberty's a little bit more like, but what if George Miller made it?
I think that's the thing that kind of I was a bit put off when I started playing it, at how little gameplay there really is, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it is walking around and talking to people and not doing quick. I don't think you can skip individual lines of dialogue without just skipping the whole scene. So you really are just kind of there watching this stuff play out. And this time around, I'm loving all of that, because I was sort of braced for it going in. I think I was expecting more of like a kind of classic style of open world game when I played it around the first time. But like, I'm finding all of the like plot stuff really propulsive and really like, I want to know what's happening next, and I want to know who this guy is, and you got all your little conspiracy stuff, and it's really cool. I'm glad to have had something to kind of like kick me into finally playing this game. And obviously, like, I downloaded it while I was in Sydney on hotel Wi-Fi, so it took fucking forever.
Yes.
But it was just cool to play heaps of this in a hotel room and then on the plane.
I
felt like such a mad cunt. My plane on the way back had those little clips that they have in some of the seats now for people to kind of rest their phones on if you're watching something. I don't know if it's quite big enough to fit an iPad, but it is big enough to fit a Nintendo Switch. So just having that on the seat with the Joy-Con detached, because it's got all these like you could do like gyro aiming with the Joy-Con and with the Pro Controller, but you can also, with the detached Joy-Con, you can do your melee attacks. You can like do little gestures to reload, and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. I don't know if it's the way that I would necessarily choose to play it over long stretches. You can do mouse controls with it. It's a pretty crazy package.
Fuck yeah. Glad to finally, I mean, I guess they have really brought that reputation back around, but, as someone who liked it from day one, I'm glad that the game is kind of, if admittedly because they fucked up initially, you know,
if you never went in,
they've brought it back. Yeah,
if you never went in, I can recommend it. Yeah, it's
fuck yeah.
Get on whatever you can access it on. been on sale a bunch of times on Steam and stuff. And yeah, I'm having a good time.
Nice. And, yes?
No, that's it.
And full stop. I was just going to mention that I've been playing Into the Breach, which is the turn-based strategy game developed by the people who made FTL, which was the sort of, survival spaceship game, top-down, which was, roguelite game, which was very, very addictive. And this is just as addictive. I can't put it down now. I basically am playing like Mario Kart in the evenings with my partner, but during the day, I'm just Into the Breach. I'm loving it.
I've logged a fucking silly amount of Mario Kart World. It's like every time I go and recheck, the thing where it like logs, but it only in like 5-hour increments.
Right.
Long you've played. It's like, I think I'm gonna have to. I'm on the cusp of having to become one of those people who has it so that your friends can't see your log of what you've played.
Fuck yeah.
I think I'm up there with friend of the show, Greg Larson, who is every time I'm online, he's online. I was telling you the other day, he's changed his name on there to Free Luigi. And,
yes.
He's just hammering it constantly. Oh my God.
Nice. I got to go see how many hours I've logged. But I reckon that's about everything I got on my little list for today, Tommy.
Yeah, me too. I got a few other small little things, but maybe I'll spend a bit more time with them and talk about them another. I've just been just doing a lot of like fucking around with the like GameCube games on the Switch Online.
Yes.
I've gone back in on Splatoon 3. Been playing that Salmon Run mode, which is so fun. The little kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, horde mode kind of thing. Yeah. Where you are teamed up with other people. It's really fun.
I was playing a ton of that. I think I was playing that maybe even more than regular mode back in.
Yeah, I find it more fun. Yeah. And it's all getting me thinking about, because the DLC for that I never played until just the other day. I finally downloaded it. And it's like a kind of roguelike mode where it's like you're in this tower and you go up to different levels and there'll be like a little sort of a smaller version of like the stages that are in the single player campaign mode. Mm-hmm. And at the end of each one, you get a little, a little thing that kind of contributes to your run. So maybe like more damage from your gun or higher range, or your special meter refills quicker or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And you get a certain number of lives, and once you die, you're like back out and you've lost all of them, and you're getting like little bits of currency that you can use to buy some of them back permanently and upgrade and all this kind of stuff. And it's really fun. And thinking about how like the mechanics of that game, which were developed really for one thing, that core multiplayer mode, and how well they work for Salmon Run, a roguelike, the single-player campaign modes. It's really impressive how much stuff they're able to get out of a mechanic that is so purpose-built for one thing. And it's got me really excited for whatever this single-player thing that they announced last week turns out to be, because it does seem like a weird pivot, but I was like, these guys have been able to do so much different stuff just within the constraints of like one thing that like... Yeah, I'm pretty confident that it'll be something really fun, because this team got the juice.
They got the ink. Stay tuned to the Nintendo Today app then for any new announcements.
I'm loving that app.
And stay tuned to filthycasuals.com.au where you can find everything about this gosh darn podcast.
Stay tuned to our Patreon, where you can get a bonus episode every week where we chat movies, TV, all sorts of other stuff. Get on there, support the show, greatly appreciated by us.
Absolutely.
But that's going to do us for now. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time. And as we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals, it's time for a lie down.